Hello, 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 and great day to everyone who's watching or listening, tuning into this episode of All Things Faith Walk. I want to say thank you one more time for joining me for another episode of All Things Faith Walk. We're going to talk about a hot topic today. It's been a while since I touched a topic like this. Going to talk about a hot topic today. We have Robert Wolf with us. But before we do that, let me just reintroduce myself for those of you who have not met me virtually. Rosemary Downer is my name. I'm the host of the show. You can find me at booksbyrosemary.com or Facebook and Instagram, Books by Rosemary or Books by Rosemary Downer. So we are going to talk about anti-Semitism today in some shape or form of it. I'm going to talk about a book, really, but the underlying theme of that book is anti-Semitism. So Robert Wolf is the author of this book, Robert Wolf, MD. He grew up as the only child of Irvin and Judith Wolf. Their stories of their escape from communist Hungary and his father's tragic history of escaping the Nazis twice, but having his own parents deported to Auschwitz,
Correct.
Auschwitz, okay, inspired Robert to document his parents' tales and share their stories with Jewish groups and others throughout the United States. These are stories we hear um, here and there, maybe movies or things we see on YouTube, but we have an actual person sitting with us today to share his story. And I want you to really just position your heart to hear what he's going to share. Position your heart to, in all of what he's saying, to see the heart of the Father or the absence of the heart of his Father. Because some of what he's going to share is going to tell us that in those moments, the heart of the Father was absent or not engaged, right? So in the title of the book is Not a Real Enemy. And I'm curious about that title. We're going to talk about the title, why that title. So in Not a Real Enemy, Robert shares his family's saga and the forgotten history of the nearly 500,000 Hungarian Jews who were deported and killed during the Holocaust through an epic and inspiring tale of daring escapes, terrifying oppression, tragedy, and triumph. I can't wait. It's already heart wrenching. Just to hear the ups and downs, just to hear the journey. I've watched a ton of videos on the Holocaust. At one point, I think I was addicted to it. I just kept reading and watching the videos and seeing, and I had no idea how extreme, really, and how graphic it was until I spent some time reading and watching those videos. So let's get into it. Um, Robert, why this title? You can tell us why you wrote the book, but the title kind of caught my attention. Why this title?
Well, thanks for inviting me and thanks for having me on your program. I
Mhm,
appreciate it. I'm honored and very privileged. So,
mhm,
Not a Real Enemy, the true story of a Hungarian Jewish man's fight for freedom is just that. The theme of Not a Real Enemy is in the backdrop throughout the book, just like the theme of anti-Semitism is in the backdrop throughout the book. It's also a chapter. It's the name of one of the chapters, and it takes place after the Hungarian Revolution in 1956, where my mom and dad were pondering escaping,
mhm,
and they did just that. But the night before their escape, my dad, and I'll tell you more later about his courage level, his risk tolerance level was so high at this point that he actually snuck into the ransacked medical staff office to see what his dossier was before they tried to leave the country. He wanted to know what the communists thought about him, and
wow,
in case they got caught, he didn't want to be arrested. He wanted to make sure he had a clean record. And the communists, in their arrogance, when he found his file, said that he was politically immature, but they described him as not a real enemy. And the paradox is, my mom and dad really were enemies to they loved Mother Hungary, but they hated Nazi Hungary and they hated communist Hungary. And so by leaving the country, my mom was a med student, my dad was a practicing OBGYN at this point, and they left the country. And they were a real enemy. The country of Hungary lost two good people to attrition and persecution and war and
hmm
anti-Semitism, of course. So
hmm
they had had enough. So in the end, they were a real enemy.
hmm So medicine does run in your family.
It sure does. Third generation.
Yeah, yeah. So that title came from that scenario that you just described to us.
Yes, and
Not a
my
real enemy.
co-author was instrumental in coming up with that. Janice Harper, outstanding writer, great book
Mm-hmm.
coach,
Mm-hmm.
and she came up with the title as well. So
Good, good. All right. So what I want you to do is to picture yourself at a conference and um and you are a vendor. You have a table with your books and it's break time. You're on the elevator going up to your room to pick something up to come back to your table. And there are a few people on the elevator and you're chatting. And the person said, well, I have not met you. Who are you and where are you from? And you said, my name is Rob and I am a vendor. And he said, oh, yeah, what are you vending? I said, I have a book that I've authored, and the title of it is Not a Real Enemy. And the person says, well, tell me about the book. The elevator is moving and you're almost getting to your floor. You're going to give her a quick elevator speech that is going to make her, after this break or before the break, come straight to your table because based on that speech, she wants your book.
Not a Real Enemy is an amazing true story about my father. It's a biography about my dad, who became an OBGYN, like I said. The book has 20 miracles in it minimum. My dad was a four-time escape artist, twice from forced labor camp in Nazi Hungary and twice from communist Hungary. There's good and bad. It's an adventure. It's clearly an adventure. You'll cry, you'll laugh. Like I said, 20 miracles, the way he got into med school, the way he found out about his parents' demise at Auschwitz. Just so many. He missed an escape, and everybody who made the correct train went to the wrong train station. They got arrested while he went free, including his his medical school roommate. So it goes on a cloak and dagger stories, twists and turns, like no, and you can't make this stuff up. I turned his autobiography into a biography. Couldn't leave it on a computer. I put it on it was on a disc, and I turned it into a biography, and it's a must read. Some people say it should be a movie. We are working on a documentary on that, starting too slowly, so we'll see how that goes. But just amazing. And again, with anti-Semitism, the hot topic, we found out about his parents, how his upbringing was, and there's really a lot of twists and turns, but
Boom.
miraculous stories.
I want the book. I want the book.
You you got
I
it. I'll send you a copy.
I, I tell you, one thing you said, it wasn't the miracles, it wasn't the 20 miracles. It was the four-time escapee that got my attention. Something they for everyone that heard the speech, something is going to hook them. That hooked me because what I hear in that is determination. I hear you're not going to oppress me. I hear, despite what's going on around me, there's a way out. I hear I'm not giving up. I'm here. I hear I'm going to die trying. I hear a lot. Four-time escapee. Think about how violent those environments were, how the risk you were running, trying to escape. What could happen to you if you get caught? And you did it not one time, but four times.
It's unbelievable. I mean, you can't make
Yeah,
this stuff up, like we said.
yeah.
And you will put yourself in his place. You don't just empathize,
Mm-hmm,
you will be
mm-hmm,
him. You will actually
mm-hmm,
feel like
mm-hmm,
you're doing the escaping
mm-hmm,
yourself.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So good elevator speech. Good, wonderful. So tell me, um, you kind of said what kind of why you wrote the book, and really in honor of your father or of your parents, but mainly your father. When people read this book, what do you want them to get besides honoring your father? Why write the book? What do you, and even a documentary? What do you want people to get? What do you want them to walk away with?
Well, I want to educate people on the perils of anti-Semitism, the perils of racism and hatred. I want
Hmm.
people to realize we complain about our own government and the way things are run in these free countries, but we still have it better than most other places. We certainly have it better than the Hungarians did for the better part of the last century.
Hmm.
And I wish people would appreciate what we have more. Sit back
Hmm.
and smell the roses,
Hmm.
spend more time with our family,
Hmm.
appreciate what we have, not go protest and call for violence
Hmm.
against the Jewish people or other groups. Um, and we talk about, like you said, determination, integrity. And we talk about resilience and
Hmm.
redemption,
Hmm.
fear and loneliness. So those are all
Hmm.
part of theme, and the messages were so strong. And my parents wrote this in the 70s as though the events happened the previous day, and it was just so palpable that I just could not leave it on a computer. I couldn't leave it on a
Mhm.
disk. I had to
Mhm.
share this with,
Mhm.
and it was like they knew I would do this. And if you knew me 6, 7 years ago, you'd say this guy would never write a book about the Holocaust. He would never do. But
Mhm.
I was so inspired by it. It was a life change, a life changer. So I had
Mhm.
to share it.
I remember, I can't remember what country, and I remember sitting right there on that sofa over there, watching a documentary about the Holocaust. And they showed it's a huge chamber, like a glass chamber, almost big like a small room. And there were all bones in it, stacked upon each other. And they are bones of victims of the Holocaust. Literally, human bones, just a whole huge glass bin. Just that was very, very graphic. Hearing of incidences where mother and children are separated, knowing that some are going to the gas chamber, some are going to work camps, and smelling the bodies, and it's unbelievable.
It's
It's
unimaginable.
unbelievable. Yeah,
And that
it
was
really
my
is.
dad's parents were victims, and my mom's grandfather was a rabbi, and he also perished at Auschwitz. And some other people from my dad's hometown that he knew, friends and family, clowns,
Mhm.
LGBTQ. It wasn't just Jewish people, disabled people, the real
Mhm.
elderly, the really young. They were,
Mhm.
if they, my dad was useful, that saved his life. I
Mhm.
mean, since he was a young man and would taken a forced labor camp, in the
Mhm.
end, that saved his life, even though it was only 5% survival rate. Of course,
5%.
only 5%. And the ones that were left that weren't in hiding or running, like my dad was, they were treated as POWs. So really unfair. They weren't even armed. So uh, very sad.
What was the main mode of execution?
Well, the gas chamber
The
was
gas
big, but
chamber.
gunshots, the early days when there was ethnic cleansing, like in Ukraine, 1939, 40, 41, a lot of so gunshots, burning, starvation, malnutrition is something not
Mhm.
talked about
Mhm.
enough. I mean, I
Mhm.
can't imagine starving for that many weeks or months in a
Mhm.
row and
Mhm.
surviving. And then other forms of pestilence too,
Mhm.
cholera.
Mhm.
That's my dad's father probably died of cholera a week into Auschwitz because he had to clean out the latrines. That was his assignment.
Mhm.
But his mother, my dad's mother, was killed immediately. And there was an orphan kid, an orphan little girl that his mother that took her hand when they were in the trains and tried to save her life and hers, both of them, but it failed. So the only fortunate thing about it is they didn't have to spend a long time in the concentration camp,
Right, right,
not months at a time, forced
right.
labor or otherwise. No, like bones and shoes and teeth and luggage, clothes, piles and piles and piles. So I agree, and I've seen it all. I've seen all these
Mhm.
photographs.
Mhm.
Thank God I haven't had to live it, and I hope I
Mhm.
never
Right,
do, or anybody
right,
else in this
right,
nation.
right. Hope it's never repeated. It's just
That,
it's just
that's
hard to imagine where a person's or people's hearts and minds are during that time to treat another human being that way, and knowing that those who survive, or those who survive, or those who have loved ones that have gone through it, have to live on and live on with peace and forgiveness towards those who have offended them like that. Um, and that's another whole discussion, that forgiveness, peace, and being able to come to peace with where you are and what has happened that you could do nothing about. It's crazy.
Well, that's a great point. I mean, my dad had no sign of PTSD. My mom and dad were Holocaust educators.
So,
They were educators about a lot of things. They were well-rounded. They were good people, well respected in the medical community. And my dad delivered 10,000 babies in the Detroit area, which is a form of redemption. And, he would have worked till the day he died. It doesn't bring back the 50 or 60 million.
right,
Not a
right,
lot of people
right,
know that 50 to
right.
60 million people died in World War II. Never
Say
mind
it
under communism.
again, not
So
thousands, millions,
millions, 50 to 60. I mean, talk about a wide
millions.
range of estimates. I
Jesus.
mean, it's that far off, but No, it's so form of redemption and amazing how they got through it and no sign of PTSD because not everybody has that. A lot of people do get PTSD or they don't
Mm-hmm.
want to talk about the
Mm-hmm.
history or what happened to their families. But my mom and dad, to educate and to try to prevent it from happening again, they vocalized it and wrote it
I,
and documented it.
yeah, I really want to put some emphasis on that listeners listen to the gravity and the gruesome ugliness, the inhumane and the violent, painful situations that Robert is describing that his parents went through. Dr. Wolf really um, is describing that his parents went through, yet he's saying they had no PTSD. Do you have a theory as to why? I have a theory. Let me hear. Do you have a theory as to why?
I have several. I mean, my mom and dad were disciplined people. My dad was, he had a pretty good childhood, and he was kind of a spoiled child, but he was also beaten as a child for being late or not studying. And so he was disciplined and strict disciplinarians. I think that was a part of it. My dad and mom were both focused on medicine. They stayed focused on the greater good. They
Mm-hmm.
focused on being free and practicing medicine. So I think that was a big help too.
Mm-hmm.
Staying busy, occupational therapy, having friends, having a good support
Mm-hmm.
system, that
Mm-hmm.
definitely helped.
Mm-hmm.
And having some Jews and Christians helping them along the way. Some
Mm-hmm.
people double cross them, but some people help them. So a combination of things. I think miracles and the hand of God. I think there. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't
Mm-hmm.
believe in God before you read this book, you will.
Oh
I think
yeah.
by
Oh
the time
yeah.
you're done with it,
Yeah.
because there's no way nobody gets that many miracles. I
Not
mean, so
accidentally. Do you think forgiveness had a role to play?
maybe not so much. I
Okay.
guess you kind of have to. I ask myself, what if I was in my synagogue and there was 20 or 30 of us and we were all armed and we were surrounding Adolf Hitler? What would we do? Would we beat him up with baseball bats? Would we shoot him? Would we torture him? And not just Hitler, Mussolini and
Mm-hmm.
Mengele and all these other war
Mm-hmm.
criminals. And if I do that, I'm no better than they are. So
Right.
there's a
Right.
I'd rather educate them. I'd rather make them read the book or
Right.
see documentaries like
Mm-hmm.
Schindler's List, and
Mm-hmm.
which I call, I think I call Not a Real Enemy Schindler's List on steroids because when I saw that movie again after I wrote the book, it was astounding the parallels
Mm-hmm.
of what
Mm-hmm.
happened in 41 Poland and then in 43,
What's the
44
name
Hungary.
of the movie?
Schindler's List.
And you mentioned something else, no?
Oh, Schindler's List on steroids. I'm
Oh,
just that's just
okay.
my own nickname for the
Okay.
because my dad had escapes. I mean, and people that tried to escape in Schindler's List got killed,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
or they randomly shot people, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what happened. They threatened
Mm-hmm.
to do that in my dad's forced labor camp.
Mm-hmm.
Drunk
Mm-hmm.
drunk soldiers, drunk
Mm-hmm.
captains,
Mm-hmm.
drunk officers. So
Mm-hmm.
how terrifying would that be? You're quietly counting how many men. Well, every 10th man is gonna get shot now because somebody created some malfeasance. So there's that parallel.
Right.
The idea of suffering before dying is also in Schindler's List, and certainly it's is resonated in our book too.
Wow.
A lot of suffering, a lot of torture, a lot of
Yes,
persecution.
yes, yes, yes. There are just a few Holocaust survivors left, correct?
Yeah, there's not many. There aren't
Not
many.
many. Yeah, that's what I thought.
I don't know the exact number, but it's maybe 100,000, 200.
Yeah.
There's only 15 million Jews, 15 to 17 million Jews in the whole planet. So if the rest of the world wanted to obliterate us, it wouldn't be that hard. It's just, and it's estimated that there would be about 41 million now, which still isn't a lot of people,
Guess what's Rob?
relative to the
Guess what,
world's
Rob?
population. So
The
what's
world
that?
can try, but they're not going to succeed.
No, I know. I mean, I know, and I hope not. I mean, well,
No,
that's why
no,
I'm doing this.
they're not going to succeed.
I'm trying to
I
get my
believe what I read in the Bible. They're not going to succeed.
I appreciate that, and same here. I mean, I think a little religion never hurt anybody either. That would go a long way towards more tolerance because
I'm a
I have a lot
follower
of
of
friends.
Christ all the way,
No,
hard.
I know, I can tell.
And
It's
yeah, I what I read, they're not going to succeed.
when I was in Israel,
Little Israel is standing strong
it
despite
sure
how
is.
many countries are against them. That's a whole different topic, but yeah, they're not going to
That's part of
succeed.
it too. It's part of it too because the parallels of what's going on today happened 60, 80, 100 years ago in
Yeah,
our story.
exactly.
Same
Exactly.
thing, different ways
Exactly.
of
It's
torturing
nothing
and
new.
killing,
Exactly.
but
And
it's the
they're
same
still
thing,
standing. Still standing.
still
Let's get
standing.
into the book. You divided the book up in three sections, and um in the latter part of our discussion here, I want you to not necessarily tell us what's in the book. Actually, I can't because the book is it's a pretty long, detailed book, right? But why the three sections and what are the main themes in each of the three sections. The three sections are, as you know, family, it's better not to know, and from yellow star to red star. Family, it's better not to know, and from yellow star to red star. So just an macro, high level, what are the themes in the sections and what the readers can look forward to. But before we do that, I want you to tell the readers where to find you and where to find the book. Also, if they're looking for, I'm assuming that you do public speaking, that you are ready and willing to do that.
Well, I sure am. I've done 120 podcasts, so I've been busy, 26 radio and TV interviews and about 41 book presentations. So I'm open to anything, can be remote, can be live in person. If you Google Not a Real Enemy, if you Google Robert J. Wolfe, MD, my website is above me, www.robertjwolfemd.com. You'll find me. Got a wonderful YouTube channel, got a lot of content. I'm on, and of course, the book you can buy on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, online, or you can go into the stores, of course. Multiple Holocaust museums, including the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. And I'm on social media across the board. I'm on Meta,
Beautiful.
X, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. So not hard to find. And I think you'll and the book is available by hardback, paperback, ebook, and audiobook too. So
Awesome.
multiple
All
formats.
the
So it's
variations.
we're trying to
Wonderful.
get a lot of people to learn about
Mm-hmm.
what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
as far as the sections, the first
Mm-hmm.
section is pretty simple. It's my dad's life growing up. Like I said, he was kind of a little bit spoiled, but a disciplined kid. His family was trying to, if they struggled a little bit before he was born, trying to get his dad tried to practice dentistry, which he eventually did. They actually converted to Christianity for a while and converted back. And miraculously had a cousin who helped finance a dental practice. So that's how he got started. My dad was relatively fortunate, and that arc leads to the next section, which is World War II, and things were not so good. And he was a soft-spoiled kid who had to toughen up, but pretty much in a hurry. So, and that's exactly what happened to him. So,
Mm-hmm.
better not to know. Mostly, he was away. He was sequestered in forced labor camp, either in Budapest or out in the middle of nowhere in the mountains, not knowing where his next meal was coming from, not getting any outside news. And meanwhile, his parents and the other 550,000 Hungarians, and not to mention people all over the world, were taken away and killed and perished. They weren't,
And he
well,
didn't
his
know.
mom was, he didn't know. And
Right.
actually, it was
Okay.
months after he got back, after hiding, after being on the run, and getting back to his hometown, that he found out what happened to him. And that was a miracle too. Somebody just came up to him in the town square, and she was an eyewitness about what happened to them in Auschwitz. So better not to know. I think maybe that helped keep his hope up, not knowing what his
Mm-hmm.
parents' whereabout
Mm-hmm.
was. Who
Mm-hmm.
knows? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to get into his head
Mm-hmm.
after the fact, of course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then from yellow star to red star, the conversion, obviously, that the Jewish people had to wear those ridiculous yellow stars. The forced laborers had to have these stupid hats and yellow bands that they wore. But as soon as my dad and his friend Frank escaped, they took them off, and they said that, oh, I mean, at great risk to their well-being, at great risk to their life. But they said the
Right.
hell with it. I mean, so, and of course, Red Star was a sign of communism in the Soviet Union back then. So it was out of the frying pan and into the fire. They went from
Mm-hmm.
the not, and if the Americans would have taken over Hungary rather than the communists, I probably wouldn't be here having this conversation. I probably would have been raised in Hungary, and if I was lucky, go to medical school in Hungary, and I would have been a Hungarian-born citizen. But my
Mm-hmm.
parents had had enough of oppression and
Mm-hmm.
persecution. So Yellow
Mm-hmm.
Star to Red Star was the no better. Short of corralling people into the town squares and taking them off in trains to get killed, the communists really didn't treat the Jewish people much better. In fact, they didn't even know what to do with them
Right.
at the end of World War II. So
Right.
factories and farms, and then POWs for the laborers,
Yeah.
for the few
Define
that survived,
POWs for the workers, please.
for the workers that survived,
For,
that were
I'm sorry,
caught. I
for the
mean, that were
listeners.
yeah, yeah, for the workers, the forced labor. My dad was on the run, or he found work, and he had some help for some good people. So he was in hiding when the war
Mm-hmm.
ended,
Mm-hmm.
which is a great story too. How the war ends for my dad. It's a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
great story.
Um, do me a favor. I'm gonna get it. I have a long trip coming up I'm traveling to Kenya next month.
Good for you. I've been
Yeah.
there. It's wonderful.
Yeah. I'm going to
Enjoy.
Kenya, Tanzania. I now you want now you're provoking me to replace my book that I was going to take or books. I think I might want to take this along with me. Um,
Well, I think I sent you a e-copy, but if you want a signed hard copy,
I
you
want a
just
hard copy, not hardcover, paper cover.
I'm happy to send one. You just need to email me
I
your
will.
home your mailing address, and I'll be
I
happy to
will.
do it.
I will.
And I appreciate
I
that.
might read this. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
Right.
long flight, long trip. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
You'll
Yeah.
it'll keep you engaged for sure.
Yeah.
Intriguing, they say. I don't know, compelling,
Intrigued.
intriguing,
Yeah.
riveting,
Hooked.
riveting.
Hooked. Yeah.
These
Yeah.
aren't even my words. These are readers,
People's
readers' opinions.
description.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, we're
You sold me, Rob. You sold me. You sold me.
I appreciate it. I'm not even trying to
So,
do that. I'm like, well, I mean, it's
well,
important to share these stories, but it's
honestly, if people have a heart, when you hear something like this, you kind of want to learn more about it. And this is where I'm going as we close out is be, besides the book and the message of the book, what does Dr. Wolf want to say to the world today about anti-Semitism? Speaking not from your father's platform or your mother's platform or your ancestors or foreparents, your platform. What do you
well,
want to
like I
say?
said before, you know what? Well, we should appreciate what we have in this country, and we should be more neighborly. Reach out to a neighbor, buy somebody a cup of coffee, a few kind words, give back to the community, volunteer somewhere, do something that's productive, not destructive. And realize that what happened to my dad could happen to any one of us. It could be a bad neighbor, a bad business deal, bad local government, federal government, foreign government, natural disaster. AI now, AI is going to be fraught with crime. We're all experiencing that, all right. And just realize what happened to my dad, where you don't know where your next meal's coming from, where you're on the run, you've escaped, okay, but where's the light at the end of the tunnel? We don't talk about no light at the end of the tunnel. You don't know where you're going, where you're going to be sleeping, and God forbid that happens to us. So enjoy our families, enjoy what we have. Be a team player. That's another nice message. No substitute for experience. As a doctor, I tell the residents and med students that I'm a retired radiologist now, but I tell them, no substitute for experience, and that's really true. So, I guess I was fortunate enough to have good parents. If you don't have a good family, then really you've got nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
some religion, a good family, and
Yeah.
just appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like I said, smell the coffee, smell the roses, enjoy what we have, and when you read this book, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You'll say,
Live,
"Oh my
li-
God, oh
yeah,
my God."
yeah, I just want to add one. Live in peace and love. It's not that hard.
It's not that hard.
It's not that
See,
hard. Live in peace and love. Like treat somebody the way you want to be treated. It's really not that hard.
it's better to pet a dog than have a dog come after you, barking at you and,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
snarling at you,
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
much
yeah.
easier.
And we can do so much more together than we can do independently and fighting against each other. Yeah. Dr. Wolf,
Not
I
a
really
problem.
thank you for your time and your investment in the book. I
Thank
pray it
you.
goes far and reach many homes and libraries and schools, even classrooms and um, individuals and book clubs, synagogues for younger generations that are coming and that need to learn about the Holocaust, because many young people don't have that information. Even Jewish young people don't have that information. So this is
That's a great
Dr.
point.
Yeah, yeah.
Apathy, including in the Jewish religion,
Yeah,
is my biggest
yeah,
discouragement.
yeah,
Apathy and indifference. So,
yeah,
and those are all my goals. Believe me, I
yeah,
don't say no to anything. And the
yeah.
classroom is the number one focus, like you said. So, hopefully
Mm-hmm.
more.
To educate, 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 which is what you started out with. Your aim is to educate, educate. Tell the listeners one more time where they can find you and where they can find your book, and then we are out.
Not a Real Enemy by Robert J. Wolf, MD. You can find if you Google my name, Robert J. Wolf, MD, or Not a Real Enemy, you'll find it on Amazon, also Barnes and Noble, Walmart, multiple Holocaust museums. We're actually in 30 libraries, including Yale and Johns Hopkins,
Beautiful.
University of Miami, some really, really prestigious places, Boston College. So I'm really proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, just Google Not a Real Enemy and or robertjwolfmd.com and reach out and please let's do programs, let's talk, let's do
Amen.
Zooms
Amen.
and
Beautiful.
book presentations, whatever's out there.
Yes, yes, yes. Book him. Book him. Email him, book him, get on his
Book
website and
him
book him.
now.
Yeah, book him. Not lock him up, but book him.
I know that's what I thought. That's the expression.
Dr. Will, thank you again so much for being
Thank you.
here. I really
Thank you.
appreciate your time. And listeners, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of All Things Faith Walk. I pray the Lord continue to bless you and keep you. And let's live in peace and harmony. It is not that hard. The Lord bless you. Until